everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Getting ready for that big economics exam? Don't sweat it, I've got you completely covered. Today, we're doing a quick, high-energy run-through of Chapter 4, The Theory of the Firm Under Perfect Competition. By the end of our time together, you're going to feel totally confident and ready to tackle whatever your teacher throws at you. Let's get started. So, let's kick things off with a pretty massive question. How exactly does a totally ruthless business decide how much stuff to produce? Well, to really wrap our heads around this chapter, we actually have to make one kind of dramatic assumption right out of the gate. We have to assume that every single firm we talk about is a ruthless profit maximizer. Literally, they only care about one thing, and that's making the absolute biggest profit possible.
Here's our game plan for today to get you fully exam ready. 1. Perfect competition features. 2. Revenue and price line. 3. Profit maximization rules. 4. The firm supply curve. And 5. A quick exam recap and tips. All right, let's jump straight into part 1, perfect competition features. Imagine this scenario. You're standing in a massive market and there are literally thousands of sellers, and every single one of them is selling the exact same, completely identical pencil. It's like a giant clone army of pencils. This is what economists call perfect competition, and there are 4 defining features you absolutely need to remember. First, a large number of buyers and sellers. Second, a homogeneous or identical product. Third, free entry and exit, meaning anyone can start or stop selling whenever they feel like it. And fourth, perfect information. Everybody knows the exact market price. In this setup, it's virtually impossible for any one seller to stand out from the crowd. Now, because of all these strict rules, firms are forced into something called price-taking behavior. This means a firm literally cannot influence the market price. They just have to accept whatever the going rate is and sell their goods at or below that fixed number. Think about it. If every single pencil in this giant market is exactly the same, and you decide to raise your price by even 1 single rupee, well, you'd lose all your buyers instantly, right? Because they'll just walk over to the next stall. You have to take the price.
Moving right along to part 2, revenue and price line. So how does a firm actually make money under these crazy strict conditions? Let's break it down super simply. A firm earns revenue by selling its stuff. Your total revenue, which we just call TR, is just the market price, a lowercase p, multiplied by the quantity sold, Q. So if the market price for a box of candles is 10 rupees and you sell 2 boxes, your total revenue is 20 rupees. TR equals P times Q. Super easy, right?
Now, lean in for a second because this next part is absolutely crucial for your exams. For a price-taking firm, the marginal revenue, which is just the extra cash you get from selling 1 additional unit, is always going to equal the average revenue. And both of those, they are exactly equal to the fixed market price. You want to memorize this equation. MR equals AR equals P. Put a big star next to that one in your notes. And that equation perfectly sets up our next point. If you draw this out on a graph, the price line is perfectly horizontal. It's flat. Since the market price is totally fixed, the demand curve facing our firm is what we call perfectly elastic. That just means consumers will buy absolutely everything the firm produces at that exact price. But they won't buy a single thing if the price goes up by even a penny. So the firm can sell 1 unit or 1 million units, but it has to be at that exact unchanging market price. Okay, let's tackle part 3, profit maximization rules. This is the absolute core of the chapter. We need to help our ruthless firm find that perfect sweet spot where they make the most money. But first, let's quickly define profit, which we usually show using the Greek letter pi. Profit is simply total revenue minus total cost. It's the gap between what you bring in and what you spend. And since our firm is a ruthless profit maximizer, their only goal in life is to make that gap as unbelievably wide as possible. So how exactly do they make that gap so wide? Well, there are 3 golden rules for profit maximization. You really want to pay attention here because this is almost guaranteed to be a high marks exam question. Rule number 1, price equals marginal cost, or P equals MC. Rule number 2, marginal cost must be non-decreasing at that point. It can't be going down. And rule number 3, in the short run, price has to be greater than or equal to average variable cost. Let me repeat those real quick so they really stick in your brain. P equals MC. MC is non-decreasing, and P is greater than or equal to AVC. If you master these 3 conditions, you are golden. All right, let's keep this momentum going into part 4, the firm supply curve. Now we're going to take those 3 profit rules we just talked about and build them into a visual curve. Try to paint this picture in your mind. In the short run, a firm's supply curve is literally just the rising part of its marginal cost curve that sits above the minimum average variable cost. And for the long run, it's the exact same logic. You just use the long-run marginal cost and long-run average cost curves instead. The secret is that it's all about those rising marginal cost curves.
Now, there's a really dramatic concept you need to know here called the shutdown point. This is the exact moment a firm decides, you know what, it's actually better for us to just stop producing entirely rather than keep bleeding money. In the short run, you'll find this point at the absolute minimum of the average variable cost curve. If the market price drops even a tiny bit below this point, the firm just shuts its doors, turns off the lights, and produces zero output. So what could actually make this whole supply curve shift left or right on your graph? Mostly, it comes down to two big things. First is technological progress. Say someone invents a faster, cheaper machine. That lowers costs and lets the firm produce more, which shifts the curve to the right. On the flip side, we have increasing input prices. If the firm suddenly has to pay much higher wages to its workers, their costs go up, output goes down, and that shifts the curve back to the left.
We've made it to the final stretch, Part 5, Exam Recap and Tips.
You guys have done the heavy lifting, so let's consolidate everything into a mental cheat sheet. The absolutely crucial thing is keeping these three specific formulas locked in your brain. 1. Total revenue is price times quantity. 2. Marginal and average revenue equal price. And 3. For profit maximization, price equals marginal cost. Seriously, write these down. These formulas form the entire mathematical foundation of pretty much every question you'll see on this chapter. There is just one final concept to remember, and that's market supply. If you take all these individual firms we've been talking about and you add their individual supply curves up horizontally, literally just combining the quantities they'd produce at each price level, you get the grand overall market supply curve. And just like that, we've nailed the core concepts. My biggest tip for you before you go, grab a blank piece of paper right now and just practice drawing those curves from memory. It's like riding a bike. The more you draw them, the easier it gets. But before you log off, I want you to think about something. Perfect competition assumes everyone has identical products and perfect information, right? But look around the real world. Think about brands, marketing, secret recipes. Does a truly perfectly competitive market even exist anywhere? Keep that question in the back of your mind as you study. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on The Explainer today, and go crush that exam.